Hello again. Welcome to another episode of The Old Head Show, the show where yours truly talks about whatever the fuck he wants to talk about. Thank you for joining me. I think this is like the 6th or 7th episode of The Old Head Show, something like that. So, welcome. And as usual, let's not even fuck around. As usual, we're going to start things off as we usually do by trying out a new beer. And as I've been doing every episode of The Old Head Show, I've been trying to find either music-related beers or just badass beers that are somehow metal or rock or music adjacent. This time the pickings was pretty slim at the local grocery store. But I found what I think is a pretty good one, and it's kind of local, and I've never had it before. We're going to be trying the Devil's Backbone, which is a beer made by Real Ale Brewing. Why do I have such a hard time saying brewing? Yeah, brewing. Real Ale Brewing, which is in Blanco, Texas, which is, I don't know, 3.5 hours away from where I am in Houston, Texas. And as you can see, it's the Devil's Backbone is a let's try that again. A Belgian style. When I first looked at that, I was like, is that triple? But apparently it's just pronounced triple. And what a triple is apparently it just means that it's a strong ass beer. So we're going to try one of these today. I don't even know if I've ever had a Belgian style triple before. So this will be interesting. But I know that a lot of times there are those people who are, for lack of a better term, beer snobs, and I will hear things or read things like, that's not how that beer is supposed to be consumed. You need to pour it in a glass or serve it slightly warm or whatever. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna look up, how do you drink a Belgian style triple? And the one thing I heard was, don't drink it directly out of the fridge. I heard it, I read it. And so this has been out for, I don't know, 10 minutes. And apparently you're also supposed to pour it in a glass. And I was like, well, I got this one. This seems appropriate. It's October, it's Halloween season. So I'm like, all right, fine, you beer snobs out there. I'm going to take this, which is in a perfectly good can. In fact, the can is the reason that I got it, because it's got the devil on it. And I'm going to pour it in this glass. And we're going to try this beer. So I'm going to do it the right way. Now here is where somebody tells me that I don't pour the beer the right way. Whatever. There's too many rules. Anyway, so I'm going to pour it like this, which is the way that I feel that you're supposed to pour it. Because usually pouring it like this, that gives you the least amount of head, which means you can, well, we like head on this channel, don't we? Here we go. Isn't this the most exciting part of the video? This is awesome. Okay. A little bit of a head there, but not too bad. I'm not even going to speed this part up. You're just going to watch me pour a beer. All right, there we go. And so this is Devil's Backbone. Let's go ahead and get that there. Devil's Backbone, and from Real Ale Brewing, Belgian style triple. Cheers, everybody. Okay. So, the color is kind of deceiving because you would think that this would be kind of a lighter beer, but it's actually very bold and flavorful. It's very like a darker beer kind of flavor. I like it. Way to go, Real Ale Brewing. I've had some other beers by Real Ale, and they're usually pretty good. So yeah, way to go. Way to go, Texas beer. One of the few things in Texas that I like. Cool. Well, that's the beer. Now let's move on to all the other shit we do on the Old Head Show. If you've been watching for the however many episodes I've been doing, you know that the next thing we come to is always going to be a little bit of music news. Now, here on the Old Head Show, we do music news a little bit different because I could just be throwing out headline type shit like Testament say they're going to have an album coming out by 2023 at some point, or Rage Against the Machine canceled all their tour dates because Zach De La Roca, his foot is way worse off than they thought. But you get the whole idea of the story just from me saying that. Who the fuck cares? So I'm going to bring you things that are a little bit more of a conversation piece where I can give a little bit of a editorialization, if you will. The big thing recently that's been going on, it's been a big hoopla on the internet. Do the kids say that now? They should. Recently, there's a band called Falling in Reverse. First off, it's a pretty bad band name. But you know what? I could literally probably make a 10-hour video on all the bad band names. But apparently they had to cancel a show recently. And their reasoning for it was they said that they showed up to the venue and they were missing their laptops. And all of a sudden there was a big argument on the internet. And I think this argument kind of comes around every once in a while. But this is a little bit different because there's a lot of talk about bands using backing tracks and stuff. Some bands go as far as to use actual backing, like vocals that are like pre-recorded that play behind their vocals, and some just use intros and outros and interludes or some cool keyboard blips and blops. But for Falling in Reverse, like apparently they just couldn't even do their show at all without their laptops. And I was under the impression that this was a metal band or rock-ish band. So, and I don't know them very well, so I don't really have much of an opinion on them. But I have an opinion on the argument that was going on because, as usual, most people seem to miss the fact that a lot of these big arguments, the answer lies somewhere in the middle. And people like me who gravitate towards finding the middle, it's very lonely and aggravating in our lives because everyone wants to be, I'm on that side, no, I'm on that side. And we're here like, why? There are some things that clearly have one side or the other, but this is not one of them for me. So, like, without knowing anything about Falling in Reverse, I went and listened to one of their songs, and it just sounded like pop music. It didn't sound like rock at all. But apparently they did have rock music or do rock music sometimes or started off rock music, who knows. But if you're considering yourself a rock and roll band or a live band, if you're using the word band in your description of what you are, then I would think that you should be able to put on some kind of show if you don't have laptops. That's just me. Because most of the time, if it's a good song, it's a good song. And so if you haven't bothered to do your due diligence and say, hey, if we have to do a stripped back version of these songs, maybe we should learn those, then I don't really know how worthy you are of me even caring about your band. In fact, I would go so far as to say, when you make an album, I'm all about throw in all the bells and whistles, all of the great things that technology has brought to us. Throw it all in there and throw in a 50-piece orchestra and throw in a choir in the background. But when you're practicing to get ready to go on tour, why not present those songs in a different way for the crowd and be like, look, here is the bare bones version of this song for everyone in the live. Everyone on the live experience is going to be its own experience. That is cool to me. But because obviously you're not going to be able to pay to bring the choir and the orchestra or even extra keyboardists. It's so expensive to tour these days. I mean, you've seen it recently, like Anthrax and other bands are just canceling parts of their tours because they're like, well, we can't fucking afford it. So I get it. And so for Falling in Reverse fans, I can understand why they would be like, they can't do their show. Fine, whatever. They can't do their show. So you see what I'm saying? The argument falls squarely in the middle, where like, depending on the band you are, you sure as hell better be able to do your shit without laptops. But if that's not the kind of music that you do, then clearly you're going to need some laptops. But if that was the kind of thinking that the internet people did, then there would never be any controversy at all. And would the world be a better place? Yeah, the world would be a better place. But whatever. Falling in Reverse, not interested in hearing any more of this band. And it is pretty lame. if, I bought tickets for you and you're like, sorry, we can't play, we don't have laptops. But to each their own. So that's my 2 cents on that story. Feel free in the comments to put your own 2 cents. Like, do you know this band? How do you feel about that kind of thing? Next story, though. This is not really a story. It's a little bit of a tiny story, but it's mostly, I almost kind of want to couch this in its own segment called Am I Weird? So very recently, Guns N' Roses announced that they are putting out deluxe anniversary editions of the Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 albums. And when they first announced them, I went on to the site to see the pre-orders, and I go, oh, this is pretty cool. But the first thing I saw was like, oh, this vinyl box set is $500. And I am not that big of a Guns N' Roses fan, so I'm like, cool, okay, cool. Well, this is a box set that I will not be getting. But there was another thing, which was a 4 LP colored vinyl kind of book of Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 remastered audio or whatever. I can give or take remastered audio. I don't care. But I was like, all right, I might go for this. Even at the price tag, what was the price tag on that? $125 for 4 LPs and whatever the cool packaging is that it has. And I was ready to pull the trigger. I'm like, it's a cool album. It's part of my youth. I love it. I'm going to buy this. And then something made me stop. And that was in the description for it. It says, featuring an all-new recorded version of November Rain. Well, the song isn't re-recorded, but they have replaced the original sort of synthesizer strings with a brand new, what does it say? 50-piece orchestra. And that's all newly recorded, and they just replaced the old orchestra-sounding stuff with this new stuff. And it completely replaces the original version of November Rain. And there's no other extras. It's literally just the 2 albums remastered and then a different version of November Rain. And you don't get the original version of November Rain. Now, here's why I'm asking, am I weird? Because that immediately made me go, oh, fuck no. Because the song that I love sounds like this. Okay, Dave Mustaine, everybody that watches my shit knows that really bums me out. Now, do you want to put the re-recorded version with the new 50-piece orchestra tacked on at the end as an extra track? Absolutely. Please do it. I would love to hear it. But where's the fucking original version of the song? And they did the same thing with Appetite for Destruction. They put out a box and they boxed it together with GNR Lies, and then they left songs off of GNR Lies. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I don't care what your reasoning is, but for a fan like me, like, I want the thing that I loved. If you're going to repackage it and make me spend $125 on it, you better give me the shit that I love. Now, remastering, fine, whatever. But stop re-recording shit. It's like, am I weird? But it immediately put the brakes on that. I'm just like, oh, they're not gonna get my money, and it's sad because it looks pretty cool. But I want November Rain with the original synthesized strings, which didn't sound bad, honestly. But whatever. I don't know what the thinking was, but I am not for it. So put down in the comments below, am I weird? That's it for the music news. Let's move on. Okay, so here on the Old Head Show, I often like to talk about things that are kind of like oddities. But I thought I would talk about an album that is a little bit over 30 years old. And a few of you might know about this. Some of you may not. You know what? Instead of me kind of going into a big introduction, why don't we watch a commercial for this particular album?
I've never seen a rock group take the country by storm this way. Thousands of kids run to...
The music is deep. It comes from the sewers. You know what I mean?
No one has ever seen anything.
Amphibian groups come and go, but these guys are here.
Pizza Hut pizza.
It's in their contract.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles rock and roll! But it's not the movie soundtrack, dudes.
Not bad for 3 fingers.
Get your kids the Ninja Turtles' new rock and roll audio cassette with 10 hot tunes only at one place, Pizza Hut, for only $3.99. Why Pizza Hut?
Because they don't sell pizza in record stores, dude.
That's right. Coming Out of Their Shells, the album by the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which came out in 1990. And so I have a little bit of history with this particular album. First of all, it was only released on cassette. That's it. You can now find this on Spotify and Apple Music if you want to go look for it. But physical copy, only cassette. And mine is actually pretty unique because the album is called Coming Out of Their Shells, but the side of it says Coming Out of Our Shells. It's a misprint, huh? So yeah, this is an album by the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And the only way that you could get it was going to Pizza Hut. And so I remember in 1990, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie had just come out, and I saw it in the theater, I think a couple times. I loved it. I was 12 years old. I was pretty much at the right age for enjoying the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And for some reason, the idea of them doing an album, I was just like, I gotta go get this. So I asked my parents to take me to Pizza Hut. We got some pizza, and they bought me this cassette. And I remember I listened to it a lot, which is weird because like in 1990, I was already listening to stuff like Faith No More and Living Colour, and even at that point, Anthrax was already stuff that I was listening to. And the majority of this does not sound anything like any of those bands. In fact, a lot of this is barely rock music as it is. The little clip you hear in the commercial, if that didn't get blocked, that's about as rocking as it gets. Most of it, they don't even turn on the distortion on the guitars. And if they do, it's mixed way down in the mix. But anyway, let's look at this. So there's the cover. And then there's the inside part. Little signatures from all the dudes, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael. And then you open it up and you got lyrics. I mean, this is like a legit album with like fold out and lyrics and everything. And there's the cassette, in case you wanted to look at an old ass cassette. But the music is like, it ranges from everything from like almost like their version of like something that like maybe Mr. Big or Tesla would have done around the time. And then there's a song that sounds like the New Kids on the Block. There's a song that sounds kind of like, I don't know, Vanilla Ice or something. It's all here. And then there's 2 songs by different characters. There's one by Splinter, which the Splinter one is great because it sounds like they tried to make a Peter Criss style song from a Kiss album. The guy even sounds like Peter Criss. That was a good Peter Criss, wasn't it? And then the other one is by April O'Neil. But this was the thing that came out, and I listened to it a lot. I think it's just because it's a fun album. The songs are not really that good, but it's pretty fun. And this point, 30 plus years later, I listen to it and I go, man, how did this happen? I mean, I know how it happened. It was a phenomenon at the time. They even did a concert tour where people dressed up as the Ninja Turtles and they mimed doing this song with like a little show and everything.
We're bringing our music to all who will listen. And what do you think the first song we wrote was? That's right. It's about the one thing that really gets us going.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter whether it's Sicilian or regular,
Deep dish or extra thin. By the slice or by the pie.
What is it?
Pizza! We love it! What is it?
It gives us our strength.
it is what we devour. When we eat it, what do we get?
Pizza power!
Now, I didn't get to go see that, but I did listen to this tape a lot. I just thought that it was really interesting. And even more so, more interesting than any of this is the fact that I read that this went triple platinum. That means 3 million people bought this. Were you one of them? Do you still have it? Anyway, it's just a unique thing because it's like one of those things that it used to happen a lot, like a TV show or something would get really popular. And of course, there would be a music album related to the characters. Like they did one for like The Simpsons. That's like the most recent one I can think of. Did they do one after that for anybody else where it's like you're supposed to think that they're doing the music? I don't know. I just think it's fascinating and honestly pretty fucking cool. Okay, so now is the time on the Old Head Show where we get a little personal. Occasionally, I try to throw you guys a little bit of my history and things that I've done. For those of you who watch my shit and are this far into this video, you probably might want to go have a beer with me or something. You like me at least that much. So here's another little interesting thing. More recently in my life, actually, this past week or two was the 3rd anniversary of a pretty cool accomplishment of mine. I won a contest where I entered a song to be the theme song for a local radio show in Austin, Texas. And it's a talk show. It was a show that not only had been around in some form since the early 90s, but I had listened to it at that point for, 10 plus years. And it was in and out of my life before that because it was one of the biggest talk radio shows in Austin, and I grew up in Austin. So for some reason, they announced they were doing a theme song contest, and I was like, that sounds fun. I don't know. I might throw my hat in the ring because there were prizes. I think there were only 2 tiers. I think maybe 2nd and 3rd place got $500, and then the winner got $3,000. And so I immediately started working on a song, and it came to me pretty quick. As usual, the drums were programmed, but then I played the guitars and the bass and I did the vocals and I mixed it and mastered it, and sent it out. And I was the very first entry that they received and played in August of 2019 for the Dudley and Bob with Matt show theme contest. And before we go any further, here's what they heard.
Direct, coming through your radio to entertain ya. No script, no songs, no fooling around. Ain't another show like it in town. Bringing in the cash, successful in the numbers. So tell me why they keep giving them shit. Behind the scenes, we got Julie and Daniel. You ask me what I'm listening to, and I'll tell ya. Dudley and Bob with Matt. Dudley and Bob with Matt. Dudley and Bob with Matt. Wake up!
And when they first listened to it, here's how they reacted.
Holy ass, dude.
All right. Well,
Way too hard.
Steven, thanks.
I thought it was going to suck so hard, and we were going to use that to convince everybody. That is so...
Nobody's entering.
Dude, it is so good.
It's over. Thanks, Steven, for ruining it.
How did he get that bad?
Thanks, Steven.
So apparently I set the bar pretty high. And then they got in other songs. And throughout the next couple months, I would hear these songs come in because I was a regular listener. Some of them were awful. There were a handful that I'm like, oh, that could easily beat me, I think. So the beginning of October, they had an episode where they announced the winner of the Dudley and Bob with Matt theme song contest.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of $3,000, Mr. Stephen Ivy.
The first entry. Very first entry.
Call us, Stephen.
Dudley and Bob with Matt. Dudley and Bob with Matt.
Good morning.
Hey, this is Stephen Ivy.
Hey, Stephen, congratulations on the $3,000, man.
Thanks, man. Holy S, I cannot believe.
Stephen won our theme song contest. Yeah, you're the first entry, right?
Yeah, very first entry.
Crazy. Did you get your inspiration from the Ramones?
Actually, if it came through, it wasn't on purpose, but it was just one of those things where I knew you guys were doing a song contest, and it just sort of came out of me that way.
And are you a working musician?
No, I mean, I've been in and out of bands for like 25 years.
Wow.
So I've done my time in this town, but I'm currently not in.
All right, dude.
What are you currently doing?
Just working and being a dad.
All right, man. Well,
You're a bitch.
Thank God.
So needless to say, I was stoked. Very proud of myself, and also $3,000 richer. And where did that $3,000 go? But they used my song on pretty much every show for 2 years, a little over 2 years, I think. And so it became a very cool thing where, like, not only did I get to hear my song every time I'd listen to, the new episode of that show, but everybody in Austin, heard my shit. And so I was pretty proud of it. I'm still pretty proud of it because it's like, I've done a lot of music and I never got really paid for any of it. All right, so on the last episode of the Old Head Show, I started a new feature that I'm going to try to do every single time, which is called Album Spotlight. And that's when I take a favorite album of mine and I just talk all about it and show you whatever I have that's related to that particular album. Last time we did Ride the Lightning, my favorite Metallica album, so I thought, fuck it, why not? This time, let's do my favorite Anthrax album, which is State of Euphoria. This album is a very important album for me. It was the very first thrash metal album I ever heard. As I mentioned earlier, way back in early 1990, I believe, was when I first heard this. Honestly, it was such a big deal to me. Like hearing when the guitars and the drums and everything kick in on Be All End All, the part I'm talking about, once it goes from the yes, no, and then that kicks in, like that changed my life, where I was just like, the way the guitars were played, the way the beat was, the vocals, like everything about it, I'm like, this is music for me. So yeah, so it's an album that not only did I love back then, but it's continued to be one that I throw on, and it feels good. So let's look at what I got. This is an original 1989 pressing. It's got a little hole punch in it, but whatever. As you guys know, when an old version of an album is well loved but still playable, I love that. That's what I want. You guys can keep all your shrink wrapped mint versions, and I'm gonna take the ones that have had a life of some kind. So there's the dudes. I love this album, and I especially love the band around this era, because you'll see footage of them playing in the big yellow stage, and they're all wearing jams, and they just seem like they're having such a fun time. And they didn't take themselves too seriously. Like not much about the music is jokey or non-serious, but their whole demeanor was just like, yeah, we're just having a good time. And I like that. I like it when bands do that. So yeah, you got lyrics on that side, and then this is the Megaforce / Island Records, because at that point I think they had already inked a deal with Island. Yeah, so that's an original. This is an original. And so let's move on to some other stuff that I have. Oh, did you already see what it was? That's related to this album. This is the 12-inch Antisocial maxi single, which obviously has Antisocial on side 1, and then side 2 it's got Make Me Laugh, and then Antisocial Live. The live version of Antisocial on a couple of these that I have, it features the vocalist from the band because the song is originally by a band called Trust, and the vocalist of that band guests on the live track on here.
I'm not sure I understand.
I swear, every single time, right? Anyway, so we'll take a look at this, just like a white sleeve on the inside there, and then just the Island Records thing right there at 45 RPMs. I love the 12-inch maxi single, which leads us to the next maxi single. Sorry, I'm just not organized at all, but that's okay. You guys don't care, right? The Make Me Laugh 12-inch maxi single, which this is obviously a picture disc. And you see, look, it's a fucking mouth. And then it's a fucking mouth on the other side. And then this little packaging thing just has the name of the band and the songs on it, which once again is Make Me Laugh and Antisocial Live, same version. But this one has the cover song Friggin' and the Riggin', which honestly, I read that it was somehow associated with the Sex Pistols, but I'm like, was that like the post Johnny Rotten Sex Pistols where they just did like a weird movie and some other songs, and because I don't think I've ever heard that. I've literally only heard the Anthrax version of Friggin' in the Riggin', so I have no idea. But it's a fun song, so you know I'm down for it. But there you go, the Make Me Laugh 12-inch maxi single. Hold on. Make Me Laugh 7-inch single. This is not anything unique at all, because this is just the cover that's on the picture disc of the other one, and this has Make Me Laugh on one side, and what's on the other side? Yeah, Antisocial Live on side B, and let's take a look at this. Oh look, we have a little mouth on one side, and then you got the other stuff on the other side. Once again, this one has Megaforce on it, and it's a little hole record. Anyway, so I thought I'd get that out of the way before we move on to the next thing that's related to State of Euphoria. Statements of Euphoria. So this is a promotional interview 12-inch where if you look, you know, side A with questions, side B without questions. So this was one of those things that I guess they would send to a record label, not a record label, a radio station. And I guess you could either play the interview with Anthrax if you wanted to, or you play side B and you pretend to ask the questions. Because I believe if we open it up here, I believe that, yeah, they have a list of the questions. And then I think on the other side, no, these are the questions. Sorry, I didn't prepare for this at all. These are the questions on this side, and then these are like the little, almost like to tell you where each thing starts, like what statement starts that particular track. It's a pretty cool interview, especially if you're into that era of Anthrax. It's fun. There you go, Megaforce Records with Island on the bottom there. And I don't think this was ever sold. This is one of those great things about the world of Discogs, is that, you know, people had this and then they decided to sell it, and you're able to get this thing that was originally only promotional for radio stations or whatever. So it's pretty cool. Statements of Euphoria. And I'm not done yet. I am not done by a long shot. I got a couple more things to go. The last thing on the vinyl front is the nice fucking EP. Now, why am I including this with State of Euphoria? If you know, you know. But if not, all of the stuff that's on here was recorded during the State of Euphoria recording sessions. And this is an EP that was European only, I think, and they went on their European tour, and I think this was for sale at that point. If you look, it's got Now It's Dark, Antisocial, Friggin' in the Riggin'. And on this side, it's got 3 songs, Parasite, Sex, and Pipeline, 3 cover songs that may seem familiar because they all ended up being on the Attack of the Killer Bees compilation album. And then Parasite is a Kiss song, Sex is another, Sex, S-E-C-T-S, Don't Be Dirty, was another Trust cover song. And then Pipeline, I don't remember who did that. It's like a surf song. You know it. You've heard it. But let's pull this out. This one has like a different kind of label, and I actually kind of dig it because it's different on both sides. It's like a light blue Island Records kind of thing, and then the other side, it's like the sun went down. As with all of my absolute favorite albums of all time, I have it on multiple mediums, and this is the CD version of State of Euphoria from 1988. Did I say 89 before? I meant 88. Somebody probably already wrote down in the fucking comments, it's fucking 1988. So there's a little booklet for this. Look at that, the dude's right there. And there they are in their jams. See what I'm talking about? That's the Anthrax that I like. And Scotty in a Living Color t-shirt, because they did shows with Living Color around this time. And then some lyrics. And then there's the, I think his name was it Mort Drucker? The guy, he drew for Mad Magazine. He may have drawn for other stuff too. But yeah, that's his drawing of the guys. Oh wait, I almost forgot. I'm not done with the vinyl part of things. This is the 2018 reissue of State of Euphoria, which is remastered and has like a bunch of B-sides and demos and stuff on it. It's a pretty cool release, and it's double vinyl, and it's on colored vinyl where each one is a different color. This one is yellow, and this one has the all of the lyrics, basically all the stuff from the inner sleeve from the original version, and then this one is red. You see the red and the yellow? It's fucking awesome, right guys? And this has like quotes about the album and what the album means to people, and then some pictures. But anyway, that's the double vinyl reissue of State of Euphoria, complete with a bent corner, which is interesting because I got the anniversary edition of Persistence of Time, also showed up with the bent corner. So whoever's doing the shipping for Anthrax, get your shit together. Last but not least, the cassette version of State of Euphoria. And this one's special. This isn't the original from back in the day, because the original I heard back in the day was loaned to me from a girl that I went to school with in my, I guess that would have been, when I got this, was it early 8th grade or late 7th grade? I think it was late 7th grade that I heard this. And she loaned me 2 cassette tapes because she was like, oh, you're into like rock music and stuff, why don't you try out these 2 tapes? One of them was the debut album from Trickster, and the other one was this. And like I said, I heard this and it totally blew my mind. The second cassette we're going to look at today. This is an original from 1988. And if you open it up enough, sure, it's got the stuff that it's got on the CD version and everything else, but then, oh, what is this? What is this? It's a hologram kind of sticker thing. Look, can you even see it? Can you see it right there? Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Anyway, came with some of the cassette versions of the album, and that's cool. I love little shit like that. So anyway, there you go. That's State of Euphoria by Anthrax, my favorite Anthrax album, and so it gets the album spotlight treatment. Okay. It's time. Episode's almost over, but you know I'm not going to let you guys go without opening a pack of rock cards. So let's fucking do it. For those of you who don't know, these are trading cards that came out in, I believe, 1991. I got a whole box of them. I've been opening a pack every episode. So let's see if we get anything really cool this time. All right, first off, now the art card. Oh, interesting. The Megadeth Berlin Wall. It almost looks like it's kind of like the Symphony of Destruction artwork, but this is I guess it's an Ed Repka drawing that has to do with the falling of the Berlin Wall with Vic Rattlehead. That's actually pretty cool. I haven't gotten that one yet, so that's actually pretty sweet. Order form for a contest that I can't enter because I live in the future. Oh, that is a good way to start things off. Testament. I don't know if I've gotten this full band Testament yet, but that is pretty sweet. All right, Rick Wright from Pink Floyd. Okay. Eric Turner from Warrant. Oh, Nick Menza from Megadeth. Rest in peace, Nick Menza. One of my favorite drummers. Man, yeah, that's definitely a good one. Hey, it's good old Mark Slaughter. Eric Brittingham from Cinderella. Oh shit, we got a full band Warrior Soul card. Now this version of Warrior Soul, I'm like, fuck yeah. I mean, Warrior Soul's a great band, but yeah. This is a pretty damn good pack this time. Holy shit, double Nick Menza. I am not going to complain about that at all. 2 different Nick Menza cards on the same episode. Fuck yeah. Oh, we got a live shot of Skid Row. This is 1991, so would that have been Slave to the Grind tour? Was that? I think that was when they toured with Pantera, correct? Continuing the Skid Row with some Dave Sabo action there. Come on, Dave. Let's let Baz back in the band, so I will care about you again. All right, a double Mark Slaughter. I guess it's that kind of day. Oh, Metal Royalty, Tony Iommi. That's a pretty great shot of him too. That's pretty awesome. Okay, last but not least, I don't think we ever done an episode where we didn't get somebody from the Dan Reed Network. Who is this? Dan Pred. It's Dan Pred from the Dan Reed Network. Who is Dan Pred? He plays drums. He's the drummer of the Dan Reed Network. You know that band? I mean, people talk so much about the Dan Reed Network. I'm getting sick of it. All right, that's it for this episode of The Old Head Show. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Put some comments down below and let me know. Yeah, if you made it this far, you're amazing. And thank you very much for sticking with me and watching my shit. Thank you to Real Ale Brewing. I don't know why I'm saying thank you because I had to pay for these. But Devil's Backbone, pretty good beer. So if you have the means or if it's in your store somehow, go check it out. All right, that's it. Thank you very much for watching The Old Head Show, and I will see you all again very soon.